Hey, welcome to the Suit Up Geeks podcast. My name's Lo, representing the West Coast of California, and we got other people from all across the U.S. We got my man Dobbs over in Philly. We got AJ over in Kentucky. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. Let's go.
Yes, and once again, we are doing our Versus series where we take the best of the best in film to put up two films, have them go head to head. We break it down, all the great things about the film. Today, we have an extraordinary Keanu Reeves showcase, John Wick versus The Matrix. Two epic action pictures that literally define the action genres of their times, respectively. And first up on deck, we're going to be talking about the overall story of each film. AJ, what did you think about The Matrix in terms of story? You're on mute, brother.
You're on mute.
I always forget that I'm on mute when I think that John Wick is probably one of the most revolutionary movies of all time. Yes, it got some anime influences, of course, which all great movies have. So there's one great thing.
I wasn't aware of that. Did John Wick have that too?
John Wick? That I don't think so. Maybe. Okay. I'm not really sure. But with The Matrix, it did. The action itself, I think, was beautifully well done. The story itself, just going into another world, I think is a fantastic idea. I honestly wish there was more movies like that. Sometimes it wouldn't work, but with The Matrix, it did. 2 or 3, that's a different story. But the original Matrix with Keanu Reeves, Keanu Reeves is just that action star. Everybody knows this. Carrie-Anne Moss, fantastic as Trinity. You just have to love her. And then you have Morpheus, who is amazing. Just all the characters in the Matrix itself, the lore of Matrix, is just a wonderful thing to see on the big screen. If you haven't watched it on the big screen, I really hope that Regal or AMC brings it back. Just like they brought back Empire Strikes Back in the big screen, I really hope they do this for The Matrix so everybody can see it. I'm going to give The Matrix a 9 out of 10 story-wise. Do I go on to the John Wick now, or do I just wait?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you can do both. You can do both. My bad.
John Wick, brilliant movie. I have no words to say. When I first heard the news that Keanu Reeves was coming back to play another action movie, I was like, cool. I don't really care. And then once the movie came out, and I think everybody can agree to this, that he did nothing but a marvelous job as John. And then they build on that lore throughout all the movies. It's amazing. And it just comes off a premise of, you killed my dog. And everybody was as pissed as John Wick in that theater. And just to get everybody so invested with John Wick and his revenge story is so amazing. So I'm giving John Wick a 10 out of 10 story-wise. That's me.
Wow. Over The Matrix.
Yes.
That's huge. All right, Dodge, what do you think about the story of these two respective action blockbusters?
All right, we're getting some sort of noise echo going on here. Is that a phone?
I think it was my phone ringing next to my mic.
It's all good. All right, The Matrix is one of my, story-wise, The Matrix is one of my all-time favorite cinema experiences. It's a benchmark for the action sci-fi genre. My 2 favorite words in cinema, you know it, Lo. We did a whole pod on this, is world building. And The Matrix has that and then some. Movies like Fellowship come to mind. The Matrix is right up there with the best of the best. We'll get to rewatchability in a little bit. But the story in The Matrix is one of the biggest reasons why it's so damn good and one of my most viewed films of all time. The attention to detail here is ridiculous. It's a story that there are so many elements weaving through this movie that you can only catch on your fourth and fifth viewing. John Wick, first up, this movie has to be definitely like one of the best stuntman turned directing debuts I've ever seen. Derek Kolstad directed John Wick, deserves a ton of credit. He's going to get a lot of love tonight. But what I love about John Wick is it's at the heart, this incredible action movie, but it's about this tragic love story. And we soon learn about John Wick, as the films kind of progress, especially in like John Wick 2, John Wick 3, etc. But that kind of happens throughout John Wick, the original film. And the death of his wife, the eventual death of his dog, it was just a really strong method of humanizing this like crazy ass, stone cold, cold-blooded assassin, one of the best assassins in the game. Regarding story, John Wick is kind of straightforward, which I think is what I kind of love about it. It doesn't hold any punches. We're going to talk about that later as well, especially for me. But it's almost like kind of the John Wick movie is almost a hop, skip, and a jump, almost an origin comic book film in some sense. That's how I view it. And I just love how John Wick uses the events of the film to kind of unravel our knowledge, our information of who John Wick is as a character. And then lastly, you touched on it, AJ, and I'm so glad you did. As a dog lover like myself, I'm just so glad how this essentially turns into like a revenge tale about how he avenges his puppy's death. And at the end of the film, we see John save another puppy from an animal shelter that was wounded. Like, as a dog lover, these little moments, it just like took it over the top. I'm giving The Matrix a 10 out of 10 on story and John Wick a 9 out of 10.
That's high praise for John Wick. And personally, I don't want to rain in your guys' parade. Fun fact, everybody, I actually saw John Wick for the first time last night, finished it up today. I missed it when it was big. I didn't think much of it when it was coming out. Keanu was pretty quiet, but apparently this revitalized his career. So hats off to his skills, which is what really carries the film for me. But to me, in this category, it's not a contest, in my opinion. The world has never seen anything like The Matrix when it debuted in 1999. The concept of artificial intelligence taking over, us nuking the sky, us becoming practically batteries for these AIs, and us living in a dream Matrix world was such a mind-blowing, face-melting concept. And it was so hard to comprehend. I was pretty young when The Matrix came out, so it took me a couple watches to really grasp what was happening. But seeing the actual humans in the Nebuchadnezzar, coming from Zion that we don't really see in the first film, but we hear of Zion, knowing that there's a one lone human world underground, I thought that was really cool. Such an epic concept. Like you said, Dibes, like it's just world building upon world building. It's just a fantastical tale that speaks to me. I'm a big fan of fantasy. And I think in terms of originality, this is just a no contest for me. I just feel like this is one of the most original stories we've ever seen. And fun fact for people that don't know this, the Wachowski sisters, that now formerly brothers, they drew and wrote this story as a comic before it became the film. And there was actually comic stills of like Agent Smith punching through a pillar, and it was awesome. Frame for frame perfect. And that's a part of my love for this. Is like it's like a graphic novel really come to life. And like AJ was saying, the anime influence was very obvious. Ghost in the Shell, even like a little bit of Akira. You could tell that they had love for these kinds of stories, these sci-fi. No, this one isn't as cyberpunk as some of like the more anime tales, but has a little bit of that with the leather and the gunplay. And overall, The Matrix is an easy 10 out of 10. I'd give it an 11 if I could. Going to John Wick, I mean, it's a very straightforward story. It's a bare bones story. I was originally going to give it a 6, but I'll give it this. I'll give it 2 points. One, because yes, I love dogs. I'm not heartless. I prefer dogs over cats. I prefer dogs over cats, and I think dogs are wonderful. I didn't think the dog was going to die. I misunderstood someone telling me this story. I thought they kidnapped his dog. So seeing this for the first time in 2020, knowing the dog died, I was pissed. So that pissed me off. That I'll give it a 1 for that. That stole my heart. I liked him getting the dog at the end. That was really sweet. Secondly, I loved the lore of the Continental. I actually wanted more of it, and I'm sure we get more in 2 and 3, which I haven't seen yet. But I love Ian McShane's role and Perkins and what's his name from Lovecraft Country. He makes a small cameo. It's just such a cool concept with all the assassins in the hotel and their code of honor and all that. I wanted more of that. So I guess, maybe I'm just haven't seen enough John Wick yet, but I'll give it an 8, just off of the dog and the Continental storyline. So,
all right.
And on to our next topic. We have visual, right?
Yep.
All right. Dives, what did you think of the Matrix and the John Wick's visuals respectively?
Oh man. First of all, if no one of you has an air fryer, I'm having my first taste of an air fryer. It was my birthday a few days ago. And I made French fries for the first time.
Shouts out to whoever invented the air fryer.
Holy cow, these are delicious.
Good.
This generation is like one of our greatest inventions is a freaking air fryer. Who would have thought?
These are legit, man. All right, anyway. All right, what are we doing? Visuals?
Visuals, sir.
All right, to tell the truth, the first time I saw the film, The Matrix, I went straight to Jurassic Park. The visual effects in The Matrix are just straight jaw-dropping, akin to like the first time I experienced Jurassic Park. I remember thinking to myself, this was one of the most visually stunning films I have ever seen in my life. And as a comic book fan and a fan of films that are like larger than life, the visuals of The Matrix were absolutely goosebump inducing. And rarely do we see Hollywood like give us a film that is both visually jaw-dropping and thought-provoking at the same time. It gives us these amazing characters to fall in love with, and most importantly, to root for, which we're going to talk about with John Wick. Even the photography in The Matrix was ridiculous. This is a movie that you can like literally pause the film and just be like, holy shit, like look at that like amazing scene. It's just something that really is iconic. And like I said, a benchmark for the genre. It was super innovative. It did a great job of like painting this like dystopian future. Not unlike something that we've seen from Blade Runner. Like it just everything works brilliantly. Even the fight choreography, it was just something that would like Bruce Lee would be so proud of if he watched this. So John Wick, this is like an old school brass knuckles, cold-blooded old school action movie with some of the best gunplay and staggering kill counts. I think that was like my main takeaway of John Wick when I saw it for the first time. Like the kill count was ridiculous, and it was really, really fun to watch. But in terms of visuals, there's a realism element when it comes to John Wick that I really, really loved. And for example, not many movies, especially action, do you see everyone around you reloading their fucking guns? Mm-hmm. And that was just a really cool element. And it's like you watch Bourne, you watch Star Wars, or you watch like all these action movies that like you've seen over time. That was a really fun element. And there's a realism part of the visuals that I really, really enjoyed with John Wick. There's really no CGI in any of the fight scenes. The stunts are completely insane. There's also like the visuals give you like an excitement level. I love the tone of it. It's just the fight scenes with the energetic direction is just so fun. And when you pair that with Keanu Reeves' like charisma, dude, it's just fantastic. I'm going The Matrix 10. I'm going John Wick 9.5.
All right, AJ, what do you think about the visuals of these two action-packed films?
Yeah, so with The Matrix, it came out in 1999, and the fact that the visuals are still amazing till this day is just, it speaks for itself, basically. We always talk about how the prequels, when like Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, gave us great visuals, which it did, and it helped revolutionize visuals, which it did, but that goes the same way with the Matrix. The Matrix overall, just the whole world itself is overall beautiful, and I can't believe that movies today can't even touch the Matrix, which came out what, like 30 some years ago, however many years ago.
21 years.
21 years.
1999.
Yes, it's baffling to me that movies can't even touch that movie right now. What?
No, it's just funny. Every time Dives comments, he has like 3 accounts, and it just echoes. Go buy an air fryer. Go buy an air fryer. Go buy an air fryer.
All right. Well, back to what I was saying.
Yeah, go ahead, AJ. My bad.
I'm giving The Matrix a 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 10. Doesn't matter. You choose. So with John Wick, it doesn't really focus on like CGI and stuff like that, but it's more practical. And Dives already touched on this. The attention to detail with the guns jamming itself, and you see John Wick check if it's going to jam or not going to jam. I love that little details and stuff like that. But overall, just the world itself looks amazing. The way they color grade John Wick, I think, is fantastic. The way each action choreography is set within the Matrix and within John Wick are all done in a way that, for me, it's like a love letter to foreign action movies. From Jackie Chan films, just the attention to detail with the hand-to-hand combat, the gung fu combat. The movie that came out in 2002, Equilibrium, with Christian Bale, I will say with gung fu, it touches on that a lot. And I just feel like John Wick even did even better with that. But yeah, I'm going to give John Wick a 10 out of 10 as well, for practical reasons. And then I'm going to give The Matrix a 10 out of 10 because of how amazing the CGI was and how the overall world looks.
Nice. Got it.
Awesome. Hey, AJ, any chance, do you know who coined that term gun fu? Because it's just such a cool term, but I don't know how
I have no idea who did, but I love it.
Yeah, no,
I've never heard of that. It's awesome.
It's a perfect way to describe John Wick's fighting style.
I'm actually going to look it up right now.
Really cool. That'd be awesome. Get back to it. So for me, in terms of visuals, I am so sorry, guys. I know you guys love John Wick, and admittedly, I'm late to the party. I don't know if it was overhyped because I just never saw it in 2014, and I haven't seen it until yesterday. I don't know. I felt a little bit let down.
Okay.
And visually, like, especially in terms of the direction, I could just tell this guy is not a natural director. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not trying to be like nitpick this guy, but I swear to you, the first 30, 40 minutes, it was a little bit clunky. It felt like a little bit like a music video, but also kind of like a video game. And visually, it just took me out of it. I didn't care for the J.J. Abrams light flares that he fell in love with. Some of the color grading, especially for some of the action sequences, was just too dark. Like that first sequence in the house, like as cool as what he was doing was, a little bit of it was hard to follow. And I think that comes down to the cinematography and the camera work. You could just tell this guy he's a stunt guy, but he's not a camera guy. And I think that hurt John Wick in terms of how the film looked. But I'll give you this. I was going to give it a 5. Don't hate me. I was going to give it a 5. But don't hear what I'm not saying. All praise to Mr. Keanu Reeves, okay? Because AJ brought up a really good point. It comes back to my love for Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was the man. He has no stunt double. He does it himself. And if you look at the footage, you can find it on YouTube probably. Keanu Reeves in a gun range, just literally emptying clips, hiding behind and like knocking down obstacles like on a gun course with like a pistol and the rifle. He literally did it himself. And when you watch John Wick, he is doing this himself at 50 years old about? He's about 50 or so now. So that for me visually was really impressive. Keanu Reeves poured himself into this role just like he did with The Matrix back then. But I think it's more impressive to see him do it at an older age. And like AJ was highlighting, the gun fu was incredible. Mixing in like firing off rounds, grabbing someone's arm and doing a jujitsu like breaking arms and like tapping the main guard of Vigo out, like choking him out. Oh man, it was just brutal and it was really fun to watch. I'm a big MMA fan, so that speaks to me. The gun fu is literally like, it's not just shooting, he is hitting blows. He's actually like, there was a couple scenes where he punched like a guy with a gun, like as he was shooting, it was like a blow, like a punch. Really fun. Like the way he moved was really kinetic. So because of Keanu Reeves, I'm going to upgrade a 5 to a 7.5.
All right.
And what can I say about The Matrix that hasn't already been said? Revolutionary CGI, like both of you guys highlighted. We've never seen this before. The rippling of the building exploding when Trinity's like swinging from that rope. Neo dodging bullets. And again, this is kind of predating like Endgame and MCU, but crowds were low-key hyped when I saw The Matrix. That's what I remember. Like I remember the intro where Trinity like does her little spider kick where she like hovers for a second and the camera rotates around her. Scary Movie actually copied the same exact kick. And I could hear the hype in the crowd, like, oh, like, you know, it wasn't like roaring like the way the MCU is, but there was hype in the crowd. And then when Keanu Reeves fights Lawrence Fishburne, when he does like his little like 3 triple kick, like bicycle kick, and then he does, you know, he floats in the air, like you could hear the crowd like, oh, did you see that? Oh shit. Like, and it's just, you've never seen it before. Like I said, it's just groundbreaking. And I think for The Matrix to make history visually in terms of its action, I can rewatch that scene when Trinity and Neo save Morpheus and you hear that music, doon, 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 and then like Trinity's running on walls. Freaking Keanu Reeves has like a double machine gun at one point, and he's just gunning people down. That is one of the craziest action sequences of all time. It's just beautiful cinematography and choreography. I gotta give that to The Matrix. I mean, 11 out of 10, 20 out of 10, like AJ said, man. But if you want to keep it at 10, I'll give it a 10. So
quick nod to the trench coat. Quick nod.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like so cool seeing the shells clatter on the ground and the trench coats flowing in the wind. Like, God, it just looks so damn cool. And how many movies try to copy that after, and it just not the same effect. Yeah, exactly.
I will say with John Wick, Chad, I forgot to say his last name, Stahelski, did get a little bit of help from David Leitch, which I think is pretty cool. So that's a little fun fact for today.
I think it was uncredited, right?
Yeah, it was uncredited, yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, so the next category, it's rewatchability, right?
Memorable moments.
Memorable moments. Whoops, I skipped one. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm going to take this one to start off. I mean, who doesn't remember Neo dodging bullets? I mean, immediately, Scary Movie copied it. Kung Pao copied it. It was just such an iconic moment, almost as iconic as like E.T. flying in front of a moon. Like, this is cinematic history. And that's just one scene of many. Like, seeing the fields of humans and bubbles. I love that moment when Neo freaks out and he's like, I don't believe it. Get me out. I don't believe it. And they're like, oh, he's going to freak out. And then he like throws up on the Nebuchadnezzar and like you see like where he really is. And it's just like such a mind-blowing experience to know that we downloaded our minds into these computer programs. It's such a mind-blowing concept, like I've been saying over and over and over. And I don't talk about The Matrix as much anymore. I think the sequels took some of its luster. As beautiful as the CGI was in the original film, the 2 and 3 overdoes it. But I think that first film could have been fine by itself. I think that's my issue with the Matrix saga, the trilogy. I think if it was just the Matrix and then he flies off at the end with the Rage Against the Machine, that's perfect. Leave it. Just don't mess it up. Don't give me Jesus. I don't need to see Neo Jesus. I don't need to see the architect. I don't even know what the hell he said half the time. Talking about, I don't know. The Will Ferrell impersonation of him is brilliant. If you guys haven't seen that on the MTV Movie Awards.
Oh, it's great.
Will Ferrell does the architect. And I don't know. It was just so funny the way he plays it. But I'm getting off track here. Overall, Matrix, 10 out of 10. I mean, this is like a sweep. Like, it's just such a groundbreaking picture. Science fiction, action. It just dips into all these different things. And by the way, I don't know what the hell that metal thing is that crawled in the knee, in Keanu Reeves' stomach.
Yeah,
Like, there's like little tad bits of like horrifying elements too. It's just such like, there's so much to the Matrix. It's just, there's so many layers and there's so many things to break down. Coming to John Wick though, I don't want to totally rain your guys' parade. This is fresh in my mind too. That scene where he hits the guy with the car, and then as he's going over the sunroof, he shoots him. What? That was ridiculous. And I'll admit, the first 30-40 minutes kind of like dragged for me, but that scene in the club, oh, it was beautiful. And that scene in the church, I think that was my favorite. When he lays waste at the church and he has the automatic. Oh man, the action in John Wick, I gotta admit, it lived up to its potential. I think it was overhyped for me coming in, but the action, that's really what John Wick stands on. Even though some of the acting was a little bit cheesy for me, I didn't like Viggo that much. He wasn't an intimidating villain, and he was kind of a puss, and he put up a fight in the end, but ultimately, John Wick, man, again, hats off to Keanu Reeves. Just masterful gunplay, and you know it's him. You know it's him pulling off the maneuvers. I might rewatch like the club scene and the church scene just because of how fun that was. So, in terms of what are we on here? Memorable moments. Matrix is a 10 for me. John Wick I'll give it a 9. There's some really cool stuff there. AJ, what do you think about memorable moments for these two films?
I can't wait for you to see the second and third chapters, man. I can't.
It gets better and better.
That's what I'm hoping.
It gets better and better. But for me, John Wick is a 10 out of 10. That moment where you see, where you hear him say, I forgot the guy's name, but when his father told him, "Do you know who you were messing with?" He was so upset with them. Yeah. He was like, a boogeyman. He was like, he's the man that kills the boogeyman. I was like, oh. Just the way they introduced John Wick is fantastic to me. The way that the gangs or anybody just fears the legend of John Wick. And in that sense, it reminds me of the Batman because everybody fears the Batman. And I just love that moment so much. And at that moment where you just see John Wick prepare and you see the anger and just motivation in his eyes just gets me every single time. And then that night scene where when they get the assassins to go to his house, that moment where he just destroys everyone, the moment I just love how amazingly that choreography was planned, where you just see the wall and then the person beside it and then John Wick on the other side of the wall and you just see him duck down, points his gun up. I was like, oh, that is just beautiful right there. Everything was just well planned.
I forgot about that one. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I had to give John Wick a 10 out of 10. Matrix, I had to give a 10 out of 10 as well. It's just 10s for me today. The iconic scene, he just the bullets flying, I just love the Matrix as a whole. It's been a minute since I've watched it, but I'm definitely going to watch it soon, just to prepare for the big action movie tournament that's coming.
Let's go.
But yeah, I had to give the Matrix a 10 out of 10 as well. So
10s all around.
Yes.
Right.
And Amanda, I will not cry.
All right, Dives.
I'm literally wearing the Batman sweatshirt. I live in this thing, man. This thing stinks.
All right, what you got for us with your memorable moments?
All right, Matrix. Like a lot of my favorite moments in the Matrix revolve around like small dialogue, like the moment where Morpheus is like, "Is that air you're breathing?" Or like there's one moment, I forget who says it, but he's like, "You've never used your eyes before." Like that moment was like, what? Like what? Like that. There's so many jaw-dropping dialogue moments that made you like kind of step back and
There is no spoon.
Yeah, there is no spoon. It's another great one. Like, it just makes you step back and realize, like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? Like Morpheus showing like what the purpose of a human is, and he shows a battery, and you're like, what? Like, oh my gosh. So, and then just there's so many amazing visual effects moments. You guys touched on it, like Neo's first glimpse of the Matrix, Neo versus Smith, one of the most iconic action scenes of all time. But yeah, this started the trend of like the slow motion trend. So that's what really that boils down to, the Matrix, in terms of memorable moments. There's so many other ones, like uploading jujitsu in Neo's brain. He's like,
that Neo versus Morpheus fight.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
By Mikey, I think he likes it. Like, there's so many like really fun moments in the Matrix. The training sequence between Neo and Morpheus, and you see the I forget what his name is, not Dozer, but he's like, Morpheus is fighting Neo, and they all rush out to watch the fight. Like, everyone else would do the same thing. So
Link.
They had so much fun, and you can just tell with that movie.
Yeah, it's just nuts. There's just so many, and then you have the electronic music in the background. There's just so many crazy moments in the Matrix. John Wick. I feel like it's kind of crazy that John Wick's dog being killed is like one of the most iconic scenes, most memorable scenes in the history of action cinema. I also think
everybody was pissed. Everybody was so emotionally invested with that. They were like, no.
Yeah, I know. But like that's where I was going towards that is we had a comment in here by the GOAT Movie podcast, and I'm so glad it was brought up because I didn't give a shit about his wife dying. It was the dog dying that I was just like, yo, you motherfuckers, you're going down. And that,
it was a gift to his wife. So
exactly.
Of course, technically, you were emotionally invested with the wife because of the dog. So I will argue that, but
yeah. All right, John Wick. But the nightclub shootout, man, that was really the scene, the action sequence that really started it all for John Wick. Like John's journey from the basement of the sauna, going upstairs to the upstairs dance club with the music is just absolutely ridiculous. We talked about earlier how realistic the fighting sequences are. Like, nothing is more realistic than this scene when you see John Wick thrown off a second floor balcony and fall to the ground, and you feel every ounce of John Wick's pain during that scene. It's just really, really, truly incredibly done. I also love the scene when you see John Wick kill the villain at the end. I can't pronounce his name. Yosef or whatever. I'm not sure.
Vigo. Yosef was the son.
Yeah, the son. I'm talking about the son.
Okay.
So we see John like literally 2 hours trying to get to the son, and when he finally gets to him, there's no dialogue. There's no like dramatic sequence where like they talk for like 5 minutes. Like, why'd you kill my dog, dude? Nah, man. This is a master assassin. He walks straight up to him and goes, bang, bang, and he's dead. And they're so anticlimactic. It's so amazingly handled, exactly how it would happen. And we talk about realism. So it's just brilliant. I'm going The Matrix a 10 out of 10. I'm going John Wick a 9 out of 10.
Hey, real quick, I just got to add a couple because like The Matrix has so many, but how devastating was it to see Morpheus lose?
Yeah.
Like, he schools Neo, and then when Agent Smith just beats the crap out of him, God, that ripped my heart out. And also I can't get that scene out of my head when Neo and Agent Smith are floating, and then they fall on the floor with their clips emptied, and the guns are against each other's head. Like,
you're empty.
Cool stuff, man. Shout out to John Woo, man. That's some John Woo right there.
Yeah.
Totally. So, all right.
By the way, it was John Woo that coined that term "gung fu."
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say John Woo's the man, dude. Oh man. All right. So going from that, we're going over to the next category, which is rewatchability.
Yes, sir.
AJ, take us away, man. Which one's more rewatchable? Are they the same? Are they better? Which one's?
John Wick is the most rewatchable right there. Matrix, I've watched about 3 times. I think the last time I watched it was around 2017, maybe. I haven't watched it ever since.
Only 3 times?
Only 3 times. Only 3 times. John Wick. What year did it come out again? 2014. 2014. Yeah, I think I watched that about 6 or maybe 5 or 6 times. ever since it came out. I watched it like 3 or 4 times in theaters by itself. So I had to give John Wick a 10 out of 10 again. I have to.
Wow.
I think AJ likes this movie. I'm not sure though.
Tiny bit.
Matrix. I always wanted to get back to it, but I just never took the time to get back to it for some reason. So just for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Got it.
All right, Dibes. Rewatchability. Matrix versus John Wick.
I mean, The Matrix is quite simply like one of the best when it comes to rewatchability for me. We've already talked on it. Like, despite it coming out in 1999, the movie still holds up today. The fight scenes have aged really well over time. Considering it came out 20 years ago, like the technology, the fight scenes, the choreography, nothing looks outdated, which is absolutely ridiculous considering how much technology has grown since 1999. That just is mind-blowing to me. Like we bitch and bitch about CGI in movies today. The Matrix looks fantastic still right now. You go turn it on, it looks great. So, you know, if we're talking about the Matrix sequels, that's a whole other conversation because the CGI does not hold up in either of those films. So, you know, the reason why like everything clicks in the original Matrix is because it just every scene works organically. You know, I rewatched The Matrix like a few days ago, and the fight scenes are still better than like 99% of any other action movie. There's an excitement level, and the same goes for John Wick. These are just two very, very rewatchable movies that you root for Neo, you root for John Wick, every kill, every punch. It is a credit to the directing of this movie. It's a credit to the story of the films. I'm giving The Matrix a 9 out of 10 and John Wick a 9 out of 10.
Nice. High praise, man. And, you know, honestly, this is like the one area where I think John Wick shines for me personally. I didn't mean to totally rain in your guys' parade, but the action sequences in John Wick are incredible. I can't take that away from Keanu Reeves or the stunt director and all the people that put all the work into the practicality of John Wick. You guys nailed it. The realism is just amazing. And honestly, I kind of want to rewatch some of those scenes tonight. I want to break down some of what he did because some of it was so technical where it's like, it doesn't seem like he did a lot, but you got to think about like, if you were in his shoes and there's a gun right here and you grab the arm and break it and then you shoot the guy across the room, like there is some serious skill there. And like the way that it's shot, you can see plainly how everything plays out. I thought that was incredible. In terms of The Matrix, it's just not fair. I saw it when I was young, and again, I didn't fully understand it. So it took 3 watches for me to fully grasp what was happening. And I loved how the first time I saw it in the theaters, by the way. The mystery of it was very fun at first because in the very, very beginning, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what the Matrix is. Brilliant marketing, by the way. The marketing for the film was, what is the Matrix? And there was like a constant question. And it's also the question that drives Neo in the beginning. What is the Matrix? And then when I love that moment where Morpheus is like, do you want to know what the Matrix really is? And it's just like literally down the rabbit hole. Shouts out to Movies Matrix Pod and Pat Nipples. But yeah, rewatchability, it's not fair. I saw The Matrix so many freaking times. I had a bootleg ass VHS. I bought it on DVD. I bought it on Blu-ray. I watched it on TV. Like, I'll be walking by the TV and The Matrix is on TNT. And I'm like, oh, I love this part. He's starting to believe. And he like, the dust comes off of him. It's just so fun. The Matrix, I can't even count how many times I've seen The Matrix. John Wick, literally just saw it. But I will admit, though, I do want to revisit a lot of what I saw. Some of the action's incredible. I can't wait to finish the series. As much as I was underwhelmed in a sense, I can see why people like this franchise. I can see why they made a 2 and a 3. So that was kind of anticlimactic for me, knowing that he wasn't going to die at the end. What's up, Dives?
You said DVD, and I think it's really important to reference how important The Matrix was for that whole DVD trend. The Matrix DVD was massive when the whole DVD started coming out, like around 1998. Like that was honestly The Matrix and Gladiator were like, I think were the top DVD movie purchases like at the time. It was iconic. It was like you have to have the Matrix DVD.
I was just gonna say, like, did you just install your sound system? Put on The Matrix. Hey, check out my sound system.
I think I'm the youngest one here because I haven't watched Matrix in the theaters. I think it came out in 1999. I was born in 1996. So I was.
Oh, okay. That would have been hard at 3 to watch The Matrix.
Lo and I are the same age, so I saw The Matrix in the theater, and it was just the benchmark that in terms of visuals and sound. It was nuts.
To be fair, my parents took me to the theaters to make me stop crying. A lot of babies cry in theaters. I didn't.
Hey, that's awesome. Hey, that's probably why you love cinema so much now. So I didn't give you guys my grades yet. Rewatchability, Matrix, I'll give it a 12. Just kidding. I'll give it a 10. And John Wick, this is my first 10 of the night. I mean, I'll give it to John Wick, man. Incredible action. I need to rewatch the action and see how it was done. Some of those maneuvers were just amazing, man. Keanu Reeves is something else. And bless his soul, I hope he keeps doing this for 5-10 more movies, man. Whatever comes his way, MCU, John Wick, give it to me. Keanu Reeves is the man.
There is a spinoff coming for the Continental, by the way.
Really?
There is. I think there's another spinoff coming. I think it's dealing with the war of the ballerina. I forgot the name of the name of that, but that too. And then there's gonna be another John Wick movie. Yeah, I'm all in it.
Inject it all into my veins, baby. Let's go.
All right, Dives, bring us home, man. Overall film grade for these two films. Now, overall, how do these films impact you, Dives?
One is a piece of cinema that is like iconic and set the benchmark for both science fiction and the action genre. The other is like probably the best and most beloved action franchise in modern cinema. I have The Matrix with a higher score than John Wick because it's just the total package. It's a movie that just made my jaw drop. It's a movie that made me fall in love with cinema over and over and over again. I have The Matrix in that same tier as my personal favorites like Jurassic Park, The Fellowship of the Ring. We did a whole pod on that, Loretto. We're talking about magical films. The Matrix is it. For example, I'm so glad you brought up, Loretto, Rage Against the Machine. I was a huge Rage Against the Machine fan when this movie came out. I was in high school. I had the wristband, the star on my shirt. Like I was like just absorbed with Rage Against the Machine. And that last scene of like Neo flying through the air as the credits drop to wake up, just a great Rage Against the Machine song. It was one of my favorite movie experiences of because what you reap is what you sow. Like there's I still remember just giggling like a kid when those credits dropped. It's just a crazy memorable moment that I'll never forget. It's just so memorable. And then saying like John Wick is a tier below The Matrix should not be considered like a negative. This is a compliment. I have nothing but positive things to say about John Wick. It started one of the best action franchises ever. It has even more incredible sequels, Lo. I cannot wait for you to watch Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. It just goes up and up and up. Both The Matrix and John Wick feature cinematography and action sequences that were truly breakthroughs in the genre. I'm going The Matrix a 10 out of 10, and I'm going John Wick a 9.2 out of 10.
9.2. Wow.
Yeah.
AJ, your overall film grades for these epic action films.
Yeah, The Matrix has like a deep spot in my heart. I'm grateful for my parents on multiple levels. On my mom's side, there are huge horror fanatics. So I grew up with horror films.
That's awesome.
From 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s, so on. But with my dad, he has so much love for action movies, and I am grateful for that. So Matrix was actually one of my first action movies I've ever watched for me. And same with Hero. I love Hero with a passion. But with Matrix, it does have a special spot in my heart because that's one of the bonding times I have with my dad, and it was an amazing moment for me. So with that, I give The Matrix a 10 out of 10. Now with John Wick, just the action alone, the story itself, just seeing John Wick and not John Wick, goodness, just seeing Keanu Reeves back in action again, just gave me that sense of what's the word? Nostalgia.
Yeah, like a vintage.
For when I first watched The Matrix with my dad, and that nostalgia just grew and grew and grew. And not only the nostalgia, but just the action choreography just upgraded itself from The Matrix, and I just love that. In a way, John Wick is a love letter to The Matrix when it comes to action. So I have to give John Wick a 10 out of 10 as well. With me, I have no problems, no issues, no criticisms with John Wick as a movie. So yeah, I have to give that a 10 out of 10 as well.
High praise, man. High praise. But yeah, don't hear what I'm not saying. John Wick overall, the experience was very enjoyable for me. I think the first 30, 40 minutes, I was coming at it with a very critical lens because everybody kept talking about it. It spawned 2 sequels. So I was like up here, and the way it started, it just kind of brought me down a little bit just because, I mean, I feel like I didn't get enough of his turnaround. I mean, it was nice to see the wife on the phone. And I think the whole point was to not linger too long and let the action come. But even the dog, like seeing him like hold the dog for a second, and then before we knew it, we were seeing Yosef with John Leguizamo, and it's just like I didn't even get to settle with the dog dying. By the way, insert the Will Smith gif from I Am Legend. No, that was me when the freaking the dog was dead. I can't. Wow. I'm still pissed. It's fresh. It's really fresh. But
that scene where you see who's the big bad? My God,
the son or Vigo?
The Vigo, and the John Leguizamo calls Vigo and is like, "Why'd you punch my son?" And John Leguizamo's like, he killed John Wick's dog, and he's like, "Oh."
He knew exactly what was up.
Lo, I might have to give you my Voodoo account just so you can watch Chapter 2 and Chapter 3.
They dive into that.
You have to watch them back to back or day by day because they go into each other perfectly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And on that alone, because me and Dibes, like one of the things we connected on when we first started doing the Suit Up, when I first started doing the Suit Up podcast with him, he's had it for a while, but the world building aspect we both relate a lot to. We both love Lord of the Rings, and obviously we all love Star Wars. So yeah, that whole assassin world is very interesting to me, and I know there's more to it. And then I'll give John Wick a solid 8. On terms of Keanu Reeves' performance, God, like that speech is so good. Like for me, like I felt like he was really reserved with his acting, but I just love that people keep asking me if I'm back, and I'm starting to think I'm back. And I was like, oh, and he's like, do you want your son to die, or do you want to die screaming alongside him or something like that? Like, oh, that's so badass. So yeah, hats off to Keanu Reeves. I said it a million times. He's amazing. The Matrix, I mean, obviously it's a 10 for me. It's just such a groundbreaking film. But I forgot to mention for the choreography, correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, Yuen Wo Ping, or he did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
He did the fight choreography for The Matrix, which was incredible. Just amazing to blend the martial arts and the sci-fi and all the epic gunplay. I think, like Dibe said, The Matrix is a full package. It's just a complete film, but also like the perfect blockbuster, the perfect popcorn movie. It's just one of those movies you could sit down with anybody, and it's, oh shoot, what's this? Like people walk into your house and it's on. It's like, oh, what's on? Oh, I love The Matrix. Or, oh, I've never seen this. This is crazy. It's just, it draws eyes. It's attention grabbing. And it's a fun experience, whether you saw it for the first time or you've seen it for the 100th time like I have. So The Matrix is an easy 10. I think that's a full sweep, which might be the first on this show. So I know how this breaks down, but let's dive. How's the grades looking?
Give me 1 second, bro.
So just as some filler here, I think both of these films are going in the first round of either draft.
100%.
Yeah, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, I don't see John Wick or The Matrix leaving the first round, and you would be amiss to not take it in your first 3 or 4 picks, if in my opinion.
Sunday, I'm pissed. I'm Sunday now.
Oh yeah, we gotta deal with the leftovers.
All right, so quick nod to that. What I did was I tried to make it less restrictive than the horror draft. So what I did was I left plenty off board. I picked all the best franchises of all the best action movies and gave like 2. So there's John Wick on one end, and then I picked John Wick 3 on the other end. So like that's synonymous with all the major franchises.
Does that mean John Wick 2 is up for grabs either night? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Like Indiana Jones or Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Avengers films and MCU films. So it's going to be really interesting.
Hey, you got to send me that list when it's all said and done.
I have to make a list of 100 just to be safe now. Great.
All right.
I'm going to be in this.
All right, Dives, break this down for us, man. What are we looking at here?
All right, so I had The Matrix just over John Wick, which I explained. John Wick for AJ, 50 out of 50, A+. Well done, bro.
You know, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it's a little bit his age, but hey,
maybe
if it means that much to you, brother, that's awesome.
And that's really important too, because like we talk about horror movies, especially the horror movie genre is really critical in terms of when you saw it, what was the cinema experience, all that kind of stuff. This kind of goes maybe hand in hand. So,
but with me, it's the opposite with horror. I actually like 70 type horror more than now, to be fair. So,
really?
Yeah.
Cool. And then low with the 50 out of 50 for The Matrix. And then with the lowest score for John Wick, he clearly hates John Wick. So.
Hey, that's a pretty good score. Put him on 100. That's what, 84. It's a B minus.
Oh, it's a B. Terrible. It's awful.
So final score: The Matrix 98%, rounding up 98%. John Wick is a 92%. Do you think that's fair, Loretto?
I mean, I'm sorry I dragged it down, but to be fair, I mean, just if you put them next to each other, I didn't think this was much of a contest. I thought this wasn't a fair fight, in my opinion. But you guys clearly love it like way more than I do. So I think it balanced out in terms of its John Wick score. I think
my biggest take before I throw it to you, AJ, is I would love to sit next to you while we watch Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. That is like my honest
watch party.
I have not. Yep, there it is. We should.
That would be so fun.
That watch party.
Because
you know what I mean. Grab a few of us. That'd be fun. We could all watch it together. I'd be watching for the first time.
There we go. We're good.
Boom. All right, AJ.
Wait, what? Sorry, my brain is going to John Wick at this point in time and watching it again.
All right, Boogeyman. Is the 98%, 92% fair?
Yes, it is. I can't really disagree with it. What I wish we should do after this is actually do a poll on Twitter for the Suit Up Geek Fix. God, Suit Up Geeks Twitter account. That way we can get other people, the actual audience and Twitter fans, and into the conversation as well. So
yeah,
sounds pretty cool.
It's a good idea. By the way, real quick before we wrap things up, have either of you seen The Changeling?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love The Changeling.
No.
Oh man, and I don't know if Tamerlan's a fan, but I just feel like that laid the foundation of Sixth Sense of what it could become. Changeling's so good. Hey AJ, you gotta watch The Changeling, man.
Yeah, it's good. Is that Angelina Jolie?
No. This is from way back, George C. Scott. I think 1980. 1980.
I definitely haven't seen it. So.
Oh, so good. No, because like AJ was talking about old school horror and The Changeling. I almost drafted it. I just felt like not enough people have seen it, but it's so good and it does so much with so little. And the good scenes are really intense. Really good psychological horror, man. Like really, really like intense stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, Dive. So what's the date for the action draft now that we've done these 2 action blockbusters?
Action draft will go down November 7th and November 8th. It's a Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, a Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We've got 10 teams so far in the Saturday night draft. We're getting close to 10 teams on Sunday night draft, just like the horror draft. We're going to throw all these teams, but this time really mix them up in the bracket. That way there's kind of some balance. I created a column A and column B of all the top action films. That way there's some for Sunday and there's some for Saturday. But what was really kind of the lesson learned out of the horror draft is we need to leave more off the board and let people kind of do their thing. And that was kind of the big takeaway of the horror draft. So that is November 7th, November 8th, over at Movies Matrix YouTube channel, Movies Matrix on Twitter. It'll be live streamed. So we want you to engage with these picks. We want you to talk trash on all of Loretto and AJ's picks. Not mine, because mine are perfect. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really pissed off. I was going for back-to-back championships. I lost in the Final Four to the champion. I lost by 2%. And I'm just really pissed off. And here's the thing. The action movie genre is a personal thing for mine. I've had a strategy with these drafts for a long time. I'm abandoning it with this one. Action has a really personal flavor for me. I don't even want to announce like what my low-key favorite action movies are on here because everyone's going to watch it and know it. But I'm 100% okay with losing in this draft just so I can get my choices.
I'm probably going in the same direction. And I'm actually worried because low key, if you guys didn't miss it, AJ mentioned a movie that I love. I'm not going to bring it back up again. AJ, what's going on with you, man? Anything you want to plug? Anything going on for you that's new?
Oh, I have a Common Coliseum coming up soon. It's going to be Pennywise versus Candyman. So that's coming up. And tonight or tomorrow, I have to prepare my list since it's going to be a lot. Since we have like 20 people coming on to this tournament, I have to just think about it. And what Dives is going on, I've been doing that since day one. I've just been choosing whatever movies I think everybody should watch. So for me, it's not a big deal. But everybody else is going for the W. I'm not. I'm going for, hey, everybody should watch these movies so we can get more movies. There we go.
Quick, I forgot. I have a Mandalorian. I've done a couple of Mandalorian power rankings. I have another one coming out on characters, and I do a lot of season 2 predictions, and that's coming out soon. And I will be doing written reviews, and we'll be doing podcast reviews of the Mandalorian every episode, season 2, here at the Suit Up Geeks pod, and written reviews over at Movies Matrix. So that's going down.
Awesome. If you guys haven't, please check out moviesmatrix.com. I've been a little bit quiet because I've been moving and I've started a new job and life happens, but I'm getting on my horse this weekend, got some things cooking. Just a little teaser. My first thing I'm cooking up is an A-list for Tim Burton. I don't know how many guys love Tim Burton, but I'm doing a top 5. It's going to be an interesting list. I finally saw Ed Wood maybe about 3 weeks ago or so. That was my first time watching Ed Wood. Such an odd picture, but Martin Landau is fantastic. I can't wait for the action movie draft. I got some like nuggets that I'm just going to you know what? I got to say, AJ, I respect the fact that you just never cared about what's popular. He always just picks what he likes. He doesn't care about rankings. He doesn't care about what Twitter likes. Like AJ picks what he loves, and I love that. So, if I could take a page out of
people, so that's part of it. So,
you're not wrong.
Hey, man, if I could take a page out of your book, I'm definitely doing that. Just like Dibes is. I don't care about what's popular. I just want to get the movies I love. And looking at your original list, Dives, I'm gonna have some problems. So we'll see what's up over Sunday night. But yeah, that about wraps it up, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. We are the Suit Up Geeks. Please follow us on Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. For AJ in Kentucky, for Dives in Philly, and for me in California, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody.
Stay on.